Recording.
We are, and yes.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
With liberty and justice for all. We had to, as you know, get new guts for this system. They didn't pick everything back up, so these speakers here are not connected to the system. The recording will be fine, but if we had somebody on there, we would not, the only speakers that's being used are the television speakers.
Yeah, that was an issue.
So that was the issue at the AHRB meeting. Anywho, but I don't think we have to worry about that here.
Is anybody online?
No. Nope, not, it's just us. Okay.
Budget transfers, is it a requirement that our accounts will be balanced?
Yes.
Or that just, it is, okay,
Yes.
so, we had excess funds and some unexpended funds in some accounts, we had some accounts which were slightly overdrawn. And so to even up the books at the end of the year, our able clerk has
Fix the books.
shocking things around, so they all balance, and, this is not a matter of us running out of money or overspending, it's simply the budget is an estimate of what amount of money will be spent in each classification, and sometimes they're off by a little bit. So now everything's in the balance, and we actually have a surplus. Our noble staff did a good job of controlling expenses, so we have a surplus in the budget. And any questions about that?
I'm sorry. Are there any accounts receivable that are not included in this budget? In other words, unpaid bills?
Yes, so if you look at your fund balance updated for 24-25, the encumbrances that I will pull out of the current budget is a total of $19,739.50.
Okay.
Which is for the auditors, mileage for myself and John for the 24-25 fiscal year. And then the New York State retirement requires, even though their fiscal year runs April to March, so they require that we pull April and May into the 25-26 fiscal year. Or that we pay it from the 24-25, so I encumber it into the 25-26. So that's part of that, and that's that $6,339.50. So when I pay the bill in December for the New York State retirement, those 2 months come out of the accounts payable, and then the rest comes out of the budget.
Were you asking about receivables?
Yeah, in other words, if we.
No, we collected all the taxes, right?
Are you, oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna actually.
I'm sorry.
Both good questions. What, we have receivables and accounts payable.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sorry, I went in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
No, we're 100%. Yep, we collected all 2 months ago. As far as the taxes are concerned, and then as far as all the rest of the revenues, you can see in the accounts there, hang on. For the general fund. Some were more. Most were more. I don't know if we really were under in any category than what from what we budgeted.
My only issue always is legal, and it looks like we're under budget and legal.
Under budget.
In other words, we outperformed the budget.
Not under
We
budgeted,
budgeted more money for legal than we spent this year,
correct.
because we have ongoing litigation, and we're not sure when, if they ever will get completed. I guess someday they'll be resolved, but it seems like they drag on, people delay and delay and delay. And so we leave plenty of money for legal in case they actually decide to finish something.
David, are you referring to the number 10 transfer? On the budget transfers?
Yeah.
Okay, so that one, the 11,125 was for the, we don't do a retainer on our attorneys, it's a non-retainer. But there was a line in there for law retainer. We retained a lawyer for an expert witness for the lawsuit down on Town Line Road.
Okay.
So that was her cost, but I took it out of the law retainer, non-retainer, because we had extra funds in there. So even though it looks like I didn't budget anything for retainer because we don't use that line. In this particular instance, we did, but I was able to take it out of the law non-retainer because we had funds still left in there.
Understood.
Yeah, it was a non-recurring expense that we don't really anticipate.
And then the rest of the transfers, I try to do the transfers within that department on other lines. There were a couple I did take out of the contingency account. I think there were 3, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4, sorry, 4. 4 out of the contingency. Every year we budget $20,000 in the contingency line in case there are overspending in some of the lines. And those are for the highway supplies of 1621. And then the other one was in the general fund for insurance. And
Yeah, sorry.
and then village hall improvements. That was kind of that had to do with the tower and the sprinkler system and redoing it, and we did get reimbursed for it, but it still hits the, it still hits the
Yeah.
expense line. And then, yeah, the village hall improvements and repairs. So. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the transfer budgets if
I'll
everybody.
make that motion.
Second.
Please.
All in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Okay. Claims review,
And those are all the vouchers, I gave you vouchers today.
okay.
And then you have, and that's what the claims review is.
Any questions on the vouchers?
No, I'll make a motion to do that.
You mean that?
And then the last piece is to approve the bills.
Okay.
All right. I'll make the resolution to expend $52,598.30 from the general fund.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to expend from the planning, transfer and agency fund, $7,992.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And make a motion to expend from the capital highway fund, the amount of $1,832.50.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, these are happening right now because this is the end of the fiscal year, so it really can't wait for a regular meeting after the end of the fiscal year. Normally, this would show up next month on the 18th at a regular board meeting, but in order to close the books, we have to pay all of this year's bills in this year. Okay, the last one is the unexpected money from, well, not budget money, but we have a surplus of funds out of the last fiscal year. And I was proposing that we move 90,000 of that into the tree fund, and the remainder, which is $236,573.60 into the capital highway fund. Hopefully in the coming winter, we'll get more pruning done. We can get somebody who will follow instructions better. Not that they didn't perform work, but I was looking for, and what we asked for a bid on was work beyond taking dead wood out of trees. They spent the whole time taking dead wood out of trees on almost all of Main Street instead of thinning a little bit. And so next go around, we'll see if I have to go supervise maybe, or not that they didn't spend the time, do the work, and not like the work is necessary, but in the Main Street corridor, it would be nice to have the trees a little bit more storm proof than it is now. The thing to look at would be the trees on Main Street, East Hampton, are done magnificently over the years. They have, and they don't have to go to bid because I think it's paid for by the Village Improvement Society. So they can get somebody out there. I won't mention who does it, but who does a great job, and they've done it for, God knows, 100 years. They've been pruning, and so they're great. And it'd be nice to, at least on our Main Street corridor, to improve them a bit. Anyway.
Do we ask that person to bid?
I'm not
does it?
sure. I'm
You know,
not
yes,
sure who
that
that
person
company
could
was.
be-
We send it out to 4 or 5 different companies.
Whoever does that, those trees, do they bid on? And
Yeah.
for us, they do.
Yeah, they do.
They just didn't get the lowest bid.
And just curious why $90,000, what's magical about that, just.
Oh, it just, with around 150 in there, it's still a reasonable amount. One of my worries always is that someday we're gonna have a hurricane. And the trees that fall in the road, the highway department's gonna have to take care of. But others damage and stuff, they're not gonna do that, but nothing, we're gonna have to do it. So it's nice to have money sitting around that maybe we can get some of that work. A tree that's broken, but maybe could be rehabilitated. The highway department's not gonna go in and clean that up. But maybe we could do that, and especially it's, we've got a historic district. It's nice to be improving them over time. Have the money available to take care of it.
And just so that you know that in the this budget, our revenues were over by 228,796.60, and our expenses were under by 97,777 than what we budgeted. And that's
Why was it 228? Why was it over? What
the
was?
revenues that we just got more money than we budgeted.
A lot of permits came in.
And then you
Yeah.
got 100% probably.
Well, no, that tax line is almost to the penny, not quite to the penny, but it's the building permit fees,
Mhm.
that's a guesstimate, as is the mortgage tax, is also a guesstimate.
Okay.
Well, everything's a guesstimate, but except for the taxes, that's a pretty hard number.
Okay.
But and then the clerks, the other permits came over by 13,000 than we budgeted. Bill and I are very conservative in our budget. So state they'd like you to be as accurate as possible.
Of course.
It's too far off,
No.
but that's the result of the fund balance.
And in terms of the revenue from building permits, we do get charged for large quantities of material coming onto a property or being removed from a property. And the consideration is when you're running large trucks on our roads, you start getting some revenue to fix the roads when they're done with it. So I think at times there's contentions that maybe our building fees are too high, but then again, if you want to have a good set of roads, the people who destroy the roads maybe should, have a little part in fixing them. If you look around the town, I don't know how McCardle is gonna fix all the damage to our roads we have now outside the village. I mean, there's some really beat up areas. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, we've been taking the ambulance around and people have complained. About the button, they're old ambulances.
No, it's a
but-
driver. It's a driver.
It's the driver. Maybe it's the ambulance.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion to transfer 90,000 to the tree fund and transfer $236,573.60 to the.
Or the balance that's
Or-
left over when
Okay,
the auditors
it
get
may
finished.
change by a few
May
pennies.
change, right now, that's the number.
right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's about it.
That's about it. No public.
Was this on the agenda, this meeting before, or just showed up this week? I missed something on my, I'm getting horrible service, like I didn't even get the attachment she sent.
So last month's meeting.
Yeah.
You
We had this
did
on
a
it?
resolution to
Yes.
set this public,
Okay.
this
I missed it.
meeting,
Yeah.
and then I put it on the
That
bottom
was
there.
fine, I just,
And yes, we discussed this.
We're trying to surprise you, David.
well, no, it's just like, I realize it's the last day of the.
It happens every year on the last, as sometimes it's the 31st, 30th, I think 29th would be the earliest it would be, but it's always the last day of the day. For the last day of the
Fiscal
fiscal
year?
year. Yep. Okay,
Thanks, yeah.
okay,
No, I just like to congratulate people in the office and Bill and everything. I mean, that's pretty impressive to have a nice net profit here, or net income. I always look at it as profit loss, but very few things have a net profit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've heard Rhodey on the phone discussing bills with people. So it's, she does a great job.
Now I can get that cell phone tower working.
I'm working on it, buddy, I'm working on it.
That's amazing. I mean, really, you know, I mean,
Do you wanna adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
yeah, okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
And I'll second that.
Got
All in
it.
favor?
Thank you.